I'm going to use this piece of material here. It's a piece of half-round silver wire. For those of you who are over there who want to come over here because it's a little bit far to see, you're welcome to come closer. I'm just using a piece of wire that's flat on one side and half round on the other side. Okay? You can do this technique with flat sheet, or you can use round wire, for example. This is the one that I made earlier, just with round wire. You can pass this if you want to have a look. So it's very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to bend this wire around our mandrel. Okay? I'm going to make it a little bit smaller to start, and then I'm going to try it on my finger to fit. There are many different ways you can make a band. You can use calculations, or you can just bend the material. In this case, I'm going to just bend the material. So I'm bending it round. Okay, so it's kind of in a teardrop shape at the moment, but I need to bend it around a little more. And I have a hammer here, so I'm just going to hammer a little bit. And make sure that it's as straight as possible. So I'm going to make myself a wedding ring. So it's a little small still. So I'm going to put it on the mandrel and just pull it down ever so slightly to open it up. Still a little small. And I'll just push it down a little more. Still a little small. So a little bit further. So that's okay, it's a snug fit, but I know that once I cut this and I fit it and form it, it should be fine. Okay, so right now what we have is something that essentially looks exactly like a ring, it's just not soldered. So we're going to cut through both pieces at the same time and remove the extra material.
So you don't cut it just at one end?
I'm cutting through both pieces at the same, yeah, but I'm just cutting literally in one place. And you want to go just nice and easy when you're using a saw blade. It would be very easy to hold it really tight and try to push, but actually the saw works better if you're very relaxed. You just let the teeth do the work. Okay? So I'm just blowing off any little dust. Okay, so now we have an open band. And I'm going to close the band over just with my hand. If there's any space, we need to make sure that we close that over tightly. So what this is called, this isn't a very technical term, but it's literally just back and forth until you get it to go together. Okay, and once it's together, like now, we're ready to solder. If you're not 100% sure, you can hold it up against the light. Okay, now that I've done that, I can see a little space. So that's not going to work. It's really got to be closed over completely. Okay, that's better. Alright, so now we're ready to solder. I'm going to put a bit of flux on the join.
What's the material you're using?
This is silver.
That's silver.
It's just not shiny yet, so it doesn't look like what we recognize as silver right away. Okay, so I'm going to solder that join. I'm going to keep the join facing me so that I can see what's happening with the solder. At the moment it's a bit cloudy, but if you're curious to see this, you can come a little closer when you're ready. Okay, so I'm just turning on the gas, and I'm going to add a bit of oxygen.
What part of the flame are you using?
Pardon?
What part of the flame are you using?
I'm going to use, that's a really good question, I'm going to use, once I find my tool, here it is, I'm going to use just in front of this blue cone, that's where it's the hottest. Okay? So generally you wouldn't use this much light. I'm just going to pass that over a wee bit because I want to see the color of the metal. All my little bits of solder are on the right hand side here as well. Add a little more oxygen because it's a bit cool and I want it a little bit warmer. Okay, so I'm just going to generally heat the ring, and I'm going to burn off some of the water in that flux. I'm going to go over and grab myself a little piece of solder using my pick. Okay, so I've picked up a little ball, and I'm going to heat up my ring and drop that little ball right on the surface. Okay, I need just a little more. Oh, sorry. How are you guys? Alright, there we go. For those of you who are here, you can see the solder kind of dancing on the surface like that. That's how we know that it's soldered. Alright, so that's that.
So you don't do it inside, upside down?
Nope, we just put a little bit in one place and the heat transfers it through that whole area. Okay. And then we take our ring, we quench it, and it's immediately cool. So it's just like when you stick a hot frying pan underneath the tap, it just cools immediately. Okay, so now we have our ring. Now, it's pretty dirty from the flame. It needs to be put into an acid bath to be cleaned, and then it also needs to be embryed and polished to get it to the finish that we want to get it to. But what I'll do is I'll use a bit of emery paper over the join, and I'll clean it up a little bit so you can see.
So is that water you just put it in, or is that the pickle?
That's water. Yeah, that was just to cool it off so I could touch it again.
Oh, the acid.
Yeah, and then the acid's to clean. But I'm just going to clean the joint so you can see that it's actually joined. Okay, so the form is all right. If, for example, your ring was a little bit deformed, you could put it back onto the mandrel, and you could just hammer gently, turn it round, do the same thing again. That should be okay. It's a little tight. After we clean up the inside, it should be fine. There you go. So there are still quite a few stages after this. We need to clean the inside with emery paper, you can use a file, we need to clean the outside, and then we need to polish it. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.